Hello once again. Well, we had some very encouraging auction results over the weekend as we see that buyers begin to re-engage. Kevin Brogan from CoreLogic back in just a moment with all the details. Kevin Brogan from CoreLogic gives us all the details every week, and he joins us again. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Yeah, good. Some very encouraging results. Auction numbers up and also clearance rates up, and a very good result out of Sydney with, almost 81%. Let's bring those figures up and then we'll get your comment on them, Kevin.
Yeah, sure. I think you're right, Kevin. I mean, across the capital city markets, we've seen a really big increase in auction activity since last week. It's worth noting that those sort of big markets, Sydney and Melbourne, are really behind the national increase. Melbourne in particular, with a 56% increase in auction activity week on week. Some of the smaller markets not seeing an increase in auction activity, but you mentioned the strength of those results. I mean, really very strong across every capital city this week.
Yeah, I tend to think it's a bit of a reflection on the fact that confidence is returning to the market. Buyers probably saying, well, let's just move on and get this property now. Are we still looking at low auction numbers, or low listing numbers?
Yeah, look, I think the numbers are coming back. We're certainly having a look at those, and I mean, looking ahead in the auction market, I can see that through February, the next couple of weekends are going to be quite big. And this February actually is the first February since 1992 where there are 5 auction Saturdays.
Okay, well, we'll just see how that positions us over the month as it unfolds. Let's take you to the Sydney sub-region results now. Let's have a look there. Quite a number. We've got 3 of them in the 90% range, Kevin.
Yeah, look, we certainly have. I mean, we do often mention North Sydney and Hornsby as being a strong performing sub-region, and this week it is leading that league table at 92.6%. The Inner West not that far behind at 90.7%, and Ryde sitting bang on 90%. And all of those regions or sub-regions are those that we see towards the top of this list. But looking at North Sydney and Hornsby in particular, I mean, 94 auctions over the weekend. It's quite busy.
Yeah, it's in fact the biggest region for auction numbers across the week as well. We saw a number of 4 of those regions also represented quite well in the 80% range.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it is across the board in Sydney. The lower regions are, as I think we've mentioned before, the Central Coast came in at 54.6%. Interesting also to see the Southwest down at 50%. Those are the 2 of the weaker sub-regions in terms of these results.
Yeah, Inner West, of course, representing or giving us our top sale. This one out of Strathfield, and in fact was the top sale for the entire week. Just before we go to that property, Kevin, just tell us a little bit about Strathfield. I think we've seen a number of top sales out of Strathfield.
We certainly have. I mean, Strathfield is as you say, in the Inner West. So, I mean, it's in a great location. Many of the properties that we've reported on have had that proximity to Sydney, but also, I mean, this block is 1,200 square metres, and some of the houses in Strathfield are really very large. This is a beautiful house, very modern in style. The median price in Strathfield is about 2.35 million. Now that is down slightly on where we saw it last year, but as we've reported before, really very strong results in the final quarter of 2019. So quite a sharp increase.
Yeah, well, top sale coming out of Strathfield, as we've just told you, 25 South Street. Let's have a look inside. This exceptional entertainer is situated on prestigious Blue Ribbon Street and sits comfortably on 1,208 square metres of land, creating a beautiful private family retreat with 6 bedrooms, covered alfresco area complete with an outdoor kitchen, projector TV and windshield blinds, swimming pool and spa with tranquil water feature adjacent to the cabana-style poolside entertaining. All that in moments to highly sought-after elite schools. 25 South Street, Strathfield, recording the country's top auction sale under the hammer at the weekend at $4,420,000, sold by Richard Matthews Real Estate. Well, let's take you now to the Melbourne sub-regions. Top region there, inner south, with 109 auctions, but a good result. I think last week from memory we were saying that there were no sub-regions in the 80% range, but this week we've got 5.
Look, we have, and you mentioned the inner south was a very busy sub-region this week, and sitting there above 80%. It's also worth noting that the second busiest region was the inner region with 142 auctions. That was both the busiest region and the second highest clearance rate. Line honours go to the southeast at 83.6%, and that was fairly busy at 69 auctions for the week.
Yeah, well, our top sale coming out of the inner area, and I incorrectly said there that the inner south was the top number of auctions, but you rightly pointed out there, Kevin, that it was inner at 142 with an 83.2% success rate. Our top sale coming out of Victoria, and that was in St Kilda, 50 Gloucester Street. St Kilda, a really prestige area, very tightly held too, Kevin.
Oh, look, it certainly is. We've seen the average length of ownership in this area sort of extend out to almost 10 years as a measure of how tightly held it is. But it's also very popular. I mean, we've seen a population increase of 14% over the last 5 years. And of course, when you get that population increase, creates demand for property. The median house price here, 1.22 million. That's still down on the peak in 2017, but again, as with the Sydney results we were talking about, really quite a sharp increase over the final quarter of 2019. So likely to sort of reach peak levels again within the next couple of months.
Well, Bell Property making the top sale out of Victoria at 50 Corsa Street in St Kilda. Let's take you inside that property now. This grand Victorian on 399 square metres of blue chip St Kilda land has a host of heritage splendour, including soaring high ceilings, exquisite LED light, open fireplaces, gleaming timber floors and ceiling roses. Agents from Bell Property, Tony and Margaret, say it is comfortable and livable for now, but offers a wonderful blank canvas. The home features formal lounge, separate dining and vast open plan kitchen, and a bay window family meal zone expanding out onto the rear garden. Upstairs are a main ensuite bedroom with balcony, 3 additional bedrooms and a family bathroom. Sold on the weekend for $3,710,000. Okay, we've got a number of other sales coming up this week. Our top sales out of Queensland, South Australia, ACT and WA to come, also out of Adelaide. Let's take you to Queensland now. No surprise, we could often see top sale coming out of either it's somewhere on the river or somewhere like New Farm or Ascot. Recent weeks we've seen top sales coming out of the Gold Coast as well, but we do return to New Farm for our top sale. We'll take you inside that one in just a moment. Tell me a little bit about New Farm, Kevin.
Oh, look, as you pointed out, I mean, we have reported on high sales from New Farm. I mean, it's obviously an inner suburb of Brisbane. We've seen the median house price there at 1.48 million. Now that's down a fraction on 2018, but we have seen some really quite strong performances from larger houses in this locality. You mentioned tightly held before. The average length of ownership is about 12.4 years. There's been a lot of population growth in New Farm, but obviously some of that has related to unit construction, not just dwellings such as this one. But I mean, 1.895 million for this property, very strong result.
Yes, it's some interesting history about Clay Street too. It's a very, very small street, but it derived its name because there was a brick factory just at the end of the street or very close to it, and the street actually did produce a lot of the clay that went in to make those bricks, hence the name Clay Street. But it's very tightly held. Ray White Paddington's Judy and Michael selling this one. Let's take you inside 12 Clay Street at New Farm. Judy O'Day and Michael Kleemeyer from Ray White Paddington successfully sold this beautiful home in trendy inner city Brisbane at New Farm for $1,895,000 on Saturday. 12 Clay Street started life as a New Farm workers' cottage that's now been extensively improved with, I have to say, outstanding architectural flair. The architect has found creative ways to introduce both natural light and the green outlook, whilst not overwhelming the scale and charm of the original home. A stunning home positioned with easy access to schools, public transport, shopping, New Farm Park and Howard Smith Wharves, as well as Brisbane CBD. Sold on the weekend for $1,895,000. Returning now, we'll take you to South Australia, and our top sale there coming from Henley Beach. We'll take you inside that one, sold by Lindsay Warner at Williams Real Estate. We'll have a look inside 98 East Terrace in just a moment. Henley Beach, obviously the name gives its location away a little bit, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely. Look, this is within easy walking distance of the beach. It's an area that was settled sort of in that interwar period quite extensively. And I mean, this house is no exception, being from the 1920s. As you and I often describe with the highest sales out of Adelaide, I mean, this is a property with lots of period features, which has then been sort of extended and renovated. At $1.1 million, it sits above the median house price, which is at $810,000. And that is down very slightly on 2008, but the peak median price was $835. So it has been tracking really quite well over the last few years.
Okay, we'll take you inside 98 East Terrace at Henley Beach. Believe it or not, it's just 13 years old, but this home gives the impression of being a restored 100-year-old bungalow. The one-owner home has a main area of approximately 245 square metres, sitting on approximately 490 square metres of land with highly sought-after rear access, oversized double garage with room for a mobile home. The upstairs loft has been used as a home office, but can be converted to a bedroom with its own ensuite. Sold by Lindsay Warner from Williams Real Estate on the weekend for $1,100,000. It's just a short stroll too to one of the finest beaches in Western Adelaide. Moving on to the ACT now, the Australian Capital Territory, Chifley producing our top sale there at $1,135,000 at 6 Welsh Place. We'll take you inside that, but tell us a little bit about Chifley, Kevin.
Yeah, so Chifley is a suburb which is just to the south of Parliament House. I mean, it's what you would call a sort of inner suburb. Some really quite large blocks of land in this area. This is a very modern house sitting on quite a large block. Now, the population of Chifley has actually decreased over the last 5 years, so that really does set this one apart from all of the other sales that you and I have reported on recently. But it is nonetheless quite a tightly held area with an average length of ownership of 12.4 years. Median house price at $800,000, and that is at its peak. That is actually up 6.7% on last year.
Okay, we'll take you inside the top ACT sale now. Enjoying a light-filled north rear aspect, this contemporary home at 6 Welsh Place, Chifley in the ACT offers stylish modern living in a prized location. It's positioned on an 881 square metre block of land with close proximity to schools, shops, parks, transport and the Canberra Hospital. sold by Cameron Whitnell from McGrath Real Estate for $1,135,000. It features high vaulted ceilings, a good selection of generously sized living zones, and a bright open plan family and meals area. Outside entertaining is well catered for too, with the covered entertaining deck and landscape gardens. Sold on the weekend, $1,135,000. And to round out our show for this week, we're going to have a look at a property in Western Australia, this one in East Fremantle. And we've visited this area on a couple of occasions, but I love this property. We featured it during the week as well, sold by Mint Real Estate's Andy McIntyre. Tell me about East Fremantle.
Yeah, so East Fremantle is a suburb in Perth that has actually performed reasonably well. I mean, we've covered how the Perth market has been relatively soft for a number of years, and indeed, the median house price here is about 1.095 million, which is down from the 2014 peak of 1.18. But if we have a look at Fremantle, we've actually seen some reasonably steady results. And in the context of the overall market being down almost 20% since peak, it does show that this is an area with enduring appeal, and again, tightly held, average length of ownership 11.9 years.
So it's a good marker, isn't it, how long people hold their properties for. Here's our top sale out of WA, achieved just over $2 million. Built in the 1930s, this grand bungalow house in the sought-after Woodside precinct of East Fremantle has been renovated and extended. Situated on a substantial 1,088 square metre block, this single-level property offers a master suite, 3 additional bedrooms and a 5th bedroom cum study. The living and dining areas overlook a tree-lined courtyard featuring an alfresco dining area and pool that wraps around a decked cabana. The rear studio workshop includes an additional bathroom, creating somewhat of a blank canvas for the new owners. 39 Dalgety Street, sold by Andy McIntyre from Mint Real Estate on the weekend for $2.06 million. Okay, well, that's a wrap on all of the top sales around the country. Let's return quickly before we say farewell to Kevin Brogan from CoreLogic to the preliminary results. Just take us through those again, Kevin, if you've got them in front of you there.
Absolutely. Look, I think, as we mentioned, we concentrate on Sydney and Melbourne as being the big auction markets. But I mean, just have a look at Brisbane. Brisbane finished up at 42.7% last week and has returned a preliminary clearance of 61.5%. Adelaide 75%. Perth off very low volumes, 80%. Which is a very significant result for that market. And Canberra coming in just over 90%. And even looking at some of the regional markets, I mean, we've actually got Geelong as well, sitting at 89.5%. So right across the board, we've seen some pretty firm results this week.
Yeah, just returning to that mention about Canberra, it never ceases to amaze me, that market. And you and I have talked about it over the last several weeks, that it just continually seems to improve. So something's happening in Canberra, and we're not even anywhere near an election. So who knows, Kevin?
No, that's right. Be interesting to see how the final figures come out when we report on those later in the week.
And there it is. We will be back with you later in the week as well. Kevin Brogan will rejoin us on Friday. We'll have a look at the final results from the weekend, and we'll look ahead for the week as to what's coming up. Kevin Brogan joins us every Monday and every Friday from CoreLogic. Kevin, thanks again for your time.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Speak to you soon.